All right. What's up, everybody? It's your boy, the B-Ball Prophet. This is the Truth in Sports Podcast. Thank y'all for joining us. Thank y'all for tapping in, showing y'all love. Make sure that y'all hit the like, subscribe, and share button. Share this with a friend. All right. We got a very, very special guest today. Originally out of Toronto, Canada. My man, Jaden Cohee. All right. This young man, I started following him on Instagram recently. You probably saw him. A lot of his videos been really going viral, telling his stories. Really inspirational, motivational young man with a great story. And also he's doing a lot of great work with the youth where he's at now. So it's a blessing to have this brother with us today. Without any further wait, man, I just want to introduce Jaden. Jaden, tell him a little bit about yourself, a little bit about what you're doing now, and then we'll get a little bit into your backstory.
Yes, sir. What's up, guys? All right. First of all, I want to say, just keep it real. The reason I sound like this, I got to have a few surgeries. We'll get into that in a bit. But I just want to get that off my chest. Like I sound crazy. Um, but to back it up, bro, I'm from Canada. I grew up in a small town, actually. I was the first player for my town to go Division 1, which is pretty crazy. If you knew where I was from, it was a hockey town. Um, I grew up in a very different environment than most people grew up in. Um, I was lucky because my parents played basketball, and it's crazy because I just loved the game. So I got really good at it young. Ended up going Division 1. I played a lot my freshman year, which was really cool, and I thought, oh, the sky's the limit. I made the junior national team at Team Canada for being cut a bunch, and I thought I was the man, right? I was on cloud 9. And then, yeah, I had a terrible sophomore year. I realized I had a terrible attitude. I transferred. I went to another Division 1 school. I played really well for most of the year. It crashed for a bit. It was super unfortunate, partially my own doing because I didn't understand my mind. And then I ended up blowing up as a grad transfer. I got 44 D1 offers. I was pretty established D1 player by that time. And yeah, I chose to come play at home in it's called U Sports, which is like our top league here, but it's not the same as Division 1, but it's like at the high level, like the best teams can play with low level D1 teams. Um, yeah, I came home here and won a couple of Canadians and went professional for a couple of years, played on Team Canada one more time, and I ended up stopping playing basketball due to injuries and just to be honest, like I got to mid-level Europe and without a passport, it's hard. And so I got there and I I I just I just kind of made a decision that I wanted to teach the game, and speak on how I messed up, um, and talk about my failures and kind of how it capped me out as a player. And yeah, bro, I started my business, Koi Basketball, 3 years ago, in Vancouver, British Columbia, and it's done very well, bro. I got over 120 kids that regularly see me. Um, and yeah, I just started a social media page about 55 days ago, and it's going pretty viral. And my goal is to build a community of hoopers and ex-hoopers who can inspire each other and actually give knowledge to the people who need it, especially from a position of people who are nice, who messed up. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I guess I'd say that's my story.
Yeah, man. No, thank you for sharing that. Like you said, it seems like, you kind of were in the position that you wanted to be, that you worked hard to be at. You got to that top level, and you mentioned a little bit about attitude. Talk a little bit more about what type of attitude that you had at that time, and how that was a detriment to your success.
Yeah, the problem with me, bro, is I needed the ball to score. My whole life I was so naturally gifted at scoring and cooking 1-on-1 and playing pick and roll and just scoring on people. But if I didn't have the ball, I didn't know how to play. So for me, I naively thought I was better than everybody because in any open gym situation, anytime I had the ball, I could cook. Any pro am, you know, even if NBA players were there, I would cook, right? Then you get in a real game, and if you're not the guy, the second best player on the team is, you don't get to do what you can do all the time, right? And you got to learn to play, right? And it took me a lot longer to learn to play based on where I come from. Not that I didn't have good coaches, but the level of talent, right? So for me, yeah, that. Sorry, what was the question again, bro? I was running a bit there.
No, I
Uh,
was just asking in terms of like you mentioned attitude. So like sometimes
yeah, yeah,
some players just they got anger issues. I know for me, one of the biggest things that hurt me as a player was I was just a hothead. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Some players they don't like to listen to the coach. Some players they get into a teammate. So it sounds like you were kind of like you were a selfish player, so to speak.
I wouldn't say selfish because I was very unselfish on the court. What I would say
Yeah.
more, brother, is I just believed that my way could win because it
Okay.
always did.
Okay.
So it was very unselfish with, I would say, like my teammates. You see what I'm saying? Like moving the ball,
Yeah.
playing properly. But the problem was, like, it took me until I was about 21 to learn
Mhm.
that I need to conform. Like I went Division One. I played a lot my freshman
Mhm.
year. If I learned to just like, learn to play a little more and
Right.
shoot,
Right.
shoot and play up close, it would have worked for me. But the problem was, uh, I just was a little delusional in how good I actually was. Like I was very good, but I wasn't.
Mm.
I wasn't NBA nice, Like I was D1 nice and I was a pro, right? But I wasn't an NBA player. And delusionally in my mind, until I was about 20, 21, until I grew up, I thought I was better. So yeah, that's the best
Mm.
way I can explain it.
Man,
But
I appreciate.
attitude, yeah, yeah. Uh, Last thing I'll say, attitude wise, man, my biggest regret basketball was that when you're young, you think you know everything. I know you
Mhm.
know this, brother, but it's I'm 28 now. You think you know everything, bro. As you get older, you realize you don't know shit. Like,
Mhm.
I got a business 3 years, bro. We're learning every day, fam. Like,
Yeah.
as much as I'm on Instagram, bro, like, and as much as, like, I'm very knowledgeable of what I'm talking about, like, I'm still learning every day, bro. I'm learning from the people
Yeah.
talking to me every day in the DMs, right? They're helping me as much as I'm helping them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man, that's a great perspective, and thanks for your transparency. You said a couple of things I want to touch on. Is I'm 42 years old, and I'll tell you, you being a little bit younger than me, is even at 42, you find that you don't know anything. Learning is a lifelong process, and once you're able to humble yourself, right, to understand that, that's when you really start to become wise. You start to get knowledge, man. So I think that's something that everyone, right, has to kind of be able to be say to themselves. And I was the same way. I was delusional. Like I thought, that I was going to the NBA. I thought I was better than everyone else. And like you said, I was a very I played point guard. I averaged like 10, 11 assists a game. So as a player, I wasn't selfish, but I had in kind of a selfish internal mindset where like even me get passing the ball was like, all right, I'm passing the ball because I want to get assists. Like I want a lot of assist numbers. So I think a lot of times, right, you got to check your motivations. And sometimes you can fool yourself and think that you're really locked in and really about something, but you're really about yourself. And it's easy to fool yourself. And it's me too. Like it's hard to conform to a system, especially when you're talented, right? But then you got to realize, like, you go to Division 1, like you could be the coldest person in your area or your region, your city, but you go in Division 1, everybody that's on that squad was the man where they was at. When you get to the pro level, like everybody at that level is the man. So how do you fit in? And players even at the NBA level struggle with that. And the ones who are able to find a role, end up staying long term, and those that don't aren't. I remember I did a event with Phil Beckner, who was Damian Lillard's trainer, and he had on the board the last five NBA drafts. I think it was like 2019 to 2024, and in red on each draft, the first round, if the player was in red, he was out the league. And as you get further back from 2024 to 2019, in 2019, 60% of the first round picks is out the league by 2024. So out of 30 picks, that was like 18 was out the league in 5 years. And these are all guys that had potential. They were highly skilled. Had a deep resume, in college, but they couldn't fit in the system. And I think that's something that a lot of players struggle with. And then they wonder things don't work out. I mean, how many kids are in the transfer portal here in America? Because they didn't fit in the system, or the system wasn't for them, as opposed to trying to figure out how they can be for the system. Let me ask you this. So now working with kids, tell
Now
me,
you speaking real shit, bro. So okay, you speaking real shit, bro. Like I let you go there. Yeah, keep going.
no, so working with kids now, like what do you see the attitude of this generation of hoopers is compared to your generation? And then I'll talk about what I saw in my generation.
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think we grew up differently. Like for me, a lot of people in my generation grew up playing outside. We grew
Mm,
up um, playing a lot of one-on-one. We didn't necessarily have trainers per se. You know, we played a lot of
mhm,
2-on-2, 3-on-3. You know, we just hooped all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, I didn't really play AU till like sophomore year. You know what I'm saying? So I think it was just a different mentality. And to us, we played a lot less games, and we just played more like with each other. You know what
mhm.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or like with the best players. Like to me, like I'd always play with the best players in the city. You know, like we always just hooped. You see what I'm saying? And that
Yeah.
made us tough, and it made us value winning because we wanted to win and stay on the court or to do other
Right.
shit. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Whereas
Right.
now these kids play 100 games a year, which I think devalues winning and it fucks their game up because
Man.
um, I got to be honest because while Europe's catching up, while we're catching up, even though we have the best players, which we do, it doesn't teach these
Right.
kids how to play when they're always. It's like, and I'm not saying the rah rah. It's like, but bro, you play 100 games in a year. You don't care about winning. You care about, like you said, the
No.
selfish shit, right? You know,
Right.
like you
Right.
care about all the wrong shit in your, it's NIL, which I'm a fan of. I'm a pro player, but this NIL is teaching kids to chase money, right? So it's
Mhm.
happening. It's just creating
Mhm.
a generation of selfish kids. But to answer
Mhm.
your question, right, it's a little long-winded. What I
It's
think
okay.
is hard for Gen Zs, society and culture, in my opinion, is pushing that masculinity is not okay, and that
Mm.
it's not okay to be a man, and then like it's wrong, and then you can't speak your mind, you can't say you feel. You see what I'm saying? And I think
Yeah.
what's being done to men like is wrong. And I think
Yeah.
men need a place like sports to express themselves and be themselves. And I think what happened is what they basically done is, we used to fail, we used to lose, fam. They
Mhm.
took away losing. They got
Yeah.
eighth place trophies for kids.
Yeah.
They took away the value of winning and losing. I think
Yeah.
that's the difference. You got the top kids who are always going to be. That's the difference. These kids are more
Yeah.
skilled
Yeah.
and they got more to their bag, but it's like, what the fuck does that mean? It's not real hoop.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Do you know how to
Right.
play?
Right.
So
Right.
yeah,
Right. Right. No, man, that's it's crazy that you say that because they say ball is life. All right. And there's so many similarities between life and basketball and culture, right? Culture bleeds into sports as it does to any aspect of life. And there is an attack on masculinity, there is an attack on what standing for the right thing is, saying the right things, doing the right things. I was on Facebook earlier, and there was this woman, this mom, and she went in this group, like this Texas group, and she had posted a receipt. I guess her daughter works at a restaurant, and someone had wrote on a receipt that her service was bad, and didn't leave a tip. So the mother put it on. She tried to put the guy on blast on Facebook by posting the receipt, saying, this customer was so rude to my daughter, and come to find out that the daughter was sitting on her cell phone all the whole time, not doing good service. But we live in a world where is that where we make heroes out of those who don't do the right thing, and then those who demand excellence, right? Demand that you do what you're being paid for, that you care about your job, that you just try to do things the right way, are being shunned, right? And we see that in basketball. The pursuit of the money. As the Bible says, the love of money is the root of all evil, and we see that with NIL stuff crazy. And I'm a fan too of college players getting paid. Like, like especially, I remember like, going into foot action. They got Vince North Carolina, Vince Carter jersey. They had the Jalen Rose jerseys. They had all that, and these guys were not making money off of that. So like I always thought that was wrong. They should be able to profit off of that. But what they've done now is they've made it, like you said, just a chasing of money. And you're going to go jump here and jump there and jump there, and you're chasing money. And again, it's not about winning. And if you can make $1 million, what's the incentive to get better as a player, right? What's the incentive of loyalty to a team, loyalty to a system? So I think unfortunately the game is going the wrong way, and that's why it's so important. Like people like us are able to get these kids at the ground level and the grassroots level, that we teach these things. And I hate to see these AAU coaches, youth coaches, even trainers who continue to promote the negative values. They're not being real with the kids. I remember I had a kid one time tell me he got TC. Man, I got to my senior year and I realized that everyone lied to me. I wasn't going to the NBA. And the kid's like 5'8", and I'm like, who been lying to you? You know what I mean? And he's like, he's depressed and he's like going through this crisis mentally because they don't understand what it takes. Like, do you understand what it takes to be an NBA player? Do you have any idea? Like, don't go off what you see on TV, but do you have any idea? Go ahead.
No, no, I'm just pointing at Bean. Keep going, family.
Yeah, yeah. Kobe Bryant, 6 days a week, 6 hours a day. I remember that from when I was in high school. And I think now, we have a little bit more science and information where maybe going 6 hours a day, 6 days a week may not be best for your body, right? We did see how he broke down toward the end of the year, in the end of his career. But the point doesn't change. The point is you need to give your life to the pursuit of being the best you can be. And how many kids are doing that? They're chasing Instagram followers and likes and all these other things. And that's why I spoke to a coach in Europe and he said the only difference between the US and Europe is we don't have all the distractions, all the other things added to the game of basketball that you guys have. He said, that's it. What
Real
you think?
rap, bro. That's real rap. So the cool thing about playing in Europe too was I learned about the system a bit over there. So what they
Yeah.
do is they practice, 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 practice. They practice all week,
Yep.
play a game on the weekend or on Friday, right? Repeat. So they play one game a week growing up,
Yep.
right? Two games sometimes in the summer. Okay.
Yep.
They play a lot of 3-on-3 to like learn how to play and other stuff. Where
Hmm.
here it's more like practice, play, play, practice, play, 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 practice, 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 play, 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 play. Right? We end up playing
Yeah.
more games than we
Hmm.
practice, right?
Yeah.
So it's a
Yeah.
different system, but he is right. We also have the distractions. But that's the world we live in, right? I think
Yep.
I
Yep.
think the hard part that these kids deal with too is, it's like the constant turmoil that they get, they play bad or, from teammates or from their coach. That's actually why I started my page is just because to me, there's so many talented players whose mind messed them up, right? So to me,
Mm,
I think it's so
mm,
important to talk about this, right?
mm.
A lot of players, they put their whole worth into basketball, right? It's
Yes.
a, even if they're doing right or wrong, they put their whole worth into this shit, right? And then it doesn't go well, right? Or the coach doesn't fuck with them. I think these Gen Zs struggle with that,
Yeah.
the most,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
because again, they haven't been taught how to fail. A lot of them. Again, I'm not speaking for everyone. There's so
Right.
many
Right. Right.
good Gen Z, but I'm not trying to attack any. This happens for all players. I went through this, so I don't want
Yeah. Me too.
Gen Zs to think I'm attacking anybody. There's tons of hoopers that are Gen Zs that are tough, right?
Right. Of course. Of
But I
course.
just think like that coaching. It's like you know, it's the fact that so many of them have never been taught certain things. And I
Mm,
think the beauty of it, it's bigger than you teach them how to be a man. That's the cool stuff about this training. You teach them how to do things that, like you said earlier, bigger than basketball, right? Basketball can teach you to do bigger
right.
things,
Yeah.
right? If you actually learn how to
Yeah.
lose, if you actually appreciate failing, you're going to want to grind harder. You're going to want to win.
Yeah.
So for me, my motto is to kind of break
Yeah.
what they're kind of teaching in school. That all have fit in. It's okay. You don't need to win,
Mm,
And my motto is to know, try to be
mm,
the best. Don't be an asshole,
yeah.
but try to be the best. Do as good as you can. Be a good person. Go hard. Learn to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Hate failing. Keep
Mm-hmm.
going. Let people say shit about you. Don't care. Listen to what your coach
Mm-hmm.
says. Understand it. Don't let it affect you mentally. Keep going. That's my whole goal.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love it. You really help, you really touch on things that a lot of players go through mentally and emotionally. I know myself, at times I struggled with that. And you have a bad game and like your whole like next 48 hours is just bad. Because you can't separate yourself as an individual and your own value versus your value as a basketball player. And one of the things I do, I'm a believer in the Most High. And I tell people, I preach and talk to kids about finding your identity in who God made you to be. Basketball is just one of the pieces of who God made you to be, right? It's not the whole. And you got to be able to play free. You know what I'm saying? You got to be the best players. I remember I was watching a documentary about Steve Francis. Remember Steve from back in the day? And they said, he just played like he didn't give a fuck. And that is the best way that I can describe playing free. You have to just not give a fuck. Like you can't even start to think of any negative consequences. You know what I mean? Like you have to just be so locked in to the pot into trying to win and playing to win that you can't get caught up in shot to shot, play to play. And that's what the great players are able to do. Is being able to find some place to go where you just and get free and just I'm in the moment. Um, so
Flow,
that's awesome.
flow state, brother.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
let's talk about that, bro. So
yeah,
the reason certain players are able to get there and certain players are able to have that I don't give a fuck attitude, right? Are they're able to be in that flow state, right? You realize certain guys can, when they're playing well, everything's going great. When they're playing bad, it's going like shit. But there's certain
yeah,
guys who could always hoop, right? I mean, guys like you and me, we play good for 4 or 5 games and we play bad and then we beat ourselves up, right? Here's
yeah.
the difference, all right? Two things. Let's break this down from like a psychological level. All right,
Mm,
there's some real shit.
mm-hmm.
Psychologically, the person who fails puts his identity into basketball. So if he fails at basketball, he sees himself as a loser in life, or herself as a loser in life. He sees himself as he let everybody down. He sees himself as all this. But basketball's a team game,
Yeah.
right? So the actual
Mm-hmm.
selfish thing is the insecurity that person feels, and why that person feels
Yeah.
like that is because they don't trust the work they put in. That's why they feel like that. Truly, that's why they deep down feel like that. The work they put in
Yeah.
internally and on the court. And then secondly, bro, the big thing with why it gets like that and players don't trust themselves is um, or beat themselves up after is huh, this one's tough is because they've only had external validation. So they've always been good.
Okay.
Shit's
Yep.
always gone well. They've always got praise. And now they feel like a super wall, like, and just
Yeah.
don't know how to
Yep.
respond. So yeah, that's the best thing I could say about that.
Yeah. And yeah, you gotta you can't. I tell players you can't live. Or I tell anybody like basketball, non-basketball, you cannot live on external validation. If you're living your life waiting on everyone else to tell you that you're great, tell you that you're special, tell you that you're good, tell you that it's okay, your life is going to be really, really tough. And that's why the game of basketball has so much transformative power because you can learn things like that through the game. I know for me, the reason why I would have struggles is because my home life wasn't right. My mother had passed away when I was 4. My dad was in jail. My grandparents raised me. We didn't get along. I dealt with a lot of depression. I dealt with a lot of anxiety. So I've carried a lot of that into the game. So because my identity outside the game, the only place where I felt accepted was in the game of basketball. The only thing that made me feel like I was of value as a younger person was how good I was in basketball because I wasn't being validated at home. I wasn't being told that you're smart. I was always being criticized or nagged at or given negative reinforcement from my grandparents as opposed to positive. So I go out there, and that's what made me work so hard because I'm like, man, if I just work hard and if I continue to get good, people are gonna like me, people are gonna accept me. So that insecurity, right? The insecurity can work two ways. It can be a double-edged sword. The insecurity drove me to work so hard, but the insecurity almost damaged that hard work because, like you said, I could go 3, 4 games and be on top of the world, and then have one bad game, and then like the next 2 or 3 games, I'm shit. And it's like, man, like how's the average go from like 29 points a game, average 10 assists, to like 15 and 5? Like it doesn't make sense. So it was hard for coaches to completely trust me. It was hard for me to be evaluated because there was just no consistency, right? And I would wear it. And when I was playing bad, like I'm playing bad, and everyone knows it type. You know what I mean? Like body language is bad, attitude is bad. Like like you having a bad day, bad.
Dude,
And
I
it
can see
wasn't
I can
until
see it in your soul, fam.
yeah, you can feel that. And it wasn't until I had to deal with the other stuff, the off court stuff. I had to deal with the anxiety, the depression, the abandonment, I had to deal with all that. As I got, I really, I really didn't really get it start to get it under control until college. And even then, it was better, but it was still, once I got to the pro level, I was cool. But I had to go through a lot of deprogramming. You know what I mean? And it's hard. It's hard because first off, I had to realize I had a problem because a lot of the other issues, a lot of times when you're going through those things, it's hard for you to identify what the problem is or even realize that you are the problem.
Yeah, a few things, brother. First of all, condolences to you. To your, you said your grandma passed away.
Yeah, my
No,
mom
sorry, your
passed when I was
mom.
4. Yeah.
Dude,
Hmm.
super condolences, bro.
Thank you.
I could only imagine that, bro. But let's talk about a few things here. So let's back it up a bit, because you touched on a lot of great things there. Um, so flow state. How can some players have the I not give a fuck attitude? Let me actually break down how to get in a flow state from a training perspective, okay? And then I'll actually break it down. From a training perspective, you shouldn't be training with like cone drills a lot unless you're young. You should be doing
Yep.
reactive drills, with
Yep.
the defender, a dummy defender. You put them in situations where it's kind of awkward. You're teaching them to react, you know,
Yep.
or one-on-one where you're in confined spaces and they have to do shit, or shooting on the
Mm.
move where they have to shoot hard. You should be
Yeah.
training kids to be reactive because basketball's a reactive game. You can't think. You
Yeah.
need to learn to play. And they should be watching a lot of basketball. Okay. How do the best players, one sec here,
Hmm.
how do the best players be in like flow state or like that I don't give a fuck all the time? They actually don't give a fuck because all their confidence comes from within, from internal. They
Yeah.
fully trust their work. So they don't really care. They know that they're better than everybody. They know what they do is better. They know everyone on the court is scared of them. So they're not they're not ever wow.
Sorry.
Surgery, man. But
Man, it's okay.
yeah, they're not ever. One sec here.
Take your time.
They're not ever in the past or the future. They're always in the present moment. So that's the key. Okay, because they don't identify themselves as a basketball player, right? They see themselves as a human, and more than that, they play basketball. It's what they love to do, right? They're able to detach themselves from the actual outcome of the game. And the problem is, people like me and you care so much about how we did and winning and
Yeah.
our performance and what people thought. Because for you had home issues. For me, I
Yeah.
just had I just had um, a bit of anger and insecurity that I didn't understand when I was younger. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so what they actually do, bro, is they're so present moment that they can turn the ball over and they let go back on defense. They miss a
Yeah.
shot instead of
Yeah.
like, oh fuck. It's like, did I miss left? Did I miss right? Did I miss long? Did I miss short? Don't miss the same way twice. If you think like that, basketball becomes really easy. Just a read and react
Mm-hmm.
game, right? So if they're just
Mm-hmm.
reading and reacting, it's really easy. And here's the proof. I bet when you play an open gym, you cook people.
Yep.
Okay. What if you learn to play properly? Okay, someone comes as a closeout. You could not catch and shoot, not the side step. You could play. You know how to play and pick and roll if you're a guard. You know how to make every
Yep.
pass, then hook, pocket pass, lobs. Turn around
Yep.
wraps. You see what I'm saying? If you know how to play basketball, you know how to play with pace, right? You step back three,
Yep.
get to the rim. You have floaters. You have dumb blocks. If you know how to play, it should be a very
Mm-hmm.
simple game, right?
Right.
The problem is people play at one speed and they don't actually learn the game. The best
Right.
players are
Yeah.
always present and they don't care. Like they don't like if they
Mm-hmm.
play bad, they're angry, but then it's like, oh man, I just had a bad game. I'm gonna murder next game. They let it go. Like they have the ability to, oh, it's all good, right?
Yep.
Because they trust themselves and they believe they'll work back to it. I'm gonna kill next game, right?
That's it.
Whereas you
Yep.
you attach your identity to the game, so when you play bad, you beat yourself up, right? And then you're in a shitty state, you're depressed, and you want love,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's the problem players go through. So that's the battle
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna shift. The real thing is, and it's the hardest part ever, is to understand everything is your fault as a hooper. You can't blame anybody. It's always your fault, even if it's
Yep.
not your fault. If you can learn that mentality, you'll be okay in basketball. This shit is cutthroat, real shit.
Yeah. Self accountability. That's something I think we in society we don't have enough of. But it's something that if you're able to be self accountable, you can go a long way in life and in the game. Because at the end of the day, like I hear players talk a lot about coaches not fucking with them, this and that, and all that's true. I think we all have probably experienced something of all those different type of things that go on, teammates here not trying to pass you the ball. Like there's so many things that go on. But at the end of the day, you're only responsible for yourself. So even in those challenges, if the coach don't fuck with you, then that means you got to be twice as good. That means that the players that his favorites, whoever they are, that means you bust their shit every single day until he almost has no choice but to fuck with you. You know what I'm saying? But it is you have to. And sometimes, like, it's so funny. So I coached Division 1. I got here at North American University 2 years ago here in Houston. So I got to be on the other side at a high level, and I never not fucked with a player as a coach. I never was like, I don't fuck with him. I fuck with him though. Like it never was. But
Hey, sorry, you know my
those
guy,
who
Coach
worked
Day.
harder,
Hey, brother. Do you know my guy, Coach Days?
go ahead.
You know Coach Days,
Days.
Patrick Days, Patrice Days.
No, uh.
Uh, bro, you remind me of him so much. He was
No.
my one of my Cs when I played at Southern Utah. He's been at Mississippi State, a couple other schools, but yeah, sorry to cut you off, brother.
No, it's all
Uh,
good. What's his name? Coach
Coach
Hayes?
Day, Coach Days.
Days.
I'll connect you. I'll connect you, brother.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Definitely, man.
yeah,
Definitely would
yeah,
love to connect.
yeah.
But no. What the players that I gave more, I don't want to say respect, but I hold in higher esteem was ones who worked hard and ones that were locked in and was focused. I remember there's one player, right? He swore I didn't mess around with him. He swore first semester because he would just go out there and he wouldn't be in the right spot. He wouldn't do the right thing. And we're trying, we keep going, and I just know there was no growth. At some point though, at the second half of the season, I don't know what happened, but it started to click for him, and he really started to play better. And at the end of the season, he came to me and said, "Coach," he said, "I'm gonna be honest with you." He's like, beginning of the first semester, I thought you just did not like me, but I realized that you was just being hard on me because I wasn't picking stuff up that I needed to fast enough. And he said, "Thank you for staying on me because it really helped me. I had to look in the mirror and realize it wasn't you, it was me. And once I did that, I was able to see what you were saying and I was able to make the changes. And you see, I'm playing better." So I think sometimes it's easy for us to be like, "Coach, don't fuck with us, a lot, da, da, da." But it's not at times, again, if we're able to be self accountable, we realize it's probably not the coach not fucking with us. He's not fucking with us how we're moving right now. And if we change how we're moving, then I'll get those same opportunities. But again, we got to be okay with looking in that mirror.
Yeah, the perfect way I could explain that, bro, is like when I was young, I would blame my coach. Oh, he's not messing with me. Someone would drive and kick it to me. I'd be wide open for a three, right? And because I'm nasty at one drill pull ups, I want to take one drill pull up, right? And because I make it so much, I'd argue I made it. You know, and you think like I'm 18, like, think about how dumb that is. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like,
Right, right,
and think about a coach. He's like, they make you pull your hair out. You know what I'm saying? What the
right,
hell? You
right,
know,
right. Yeah, yeah,
but that is the example of you know what I'm saying. The honest truth is, whether your coach likes you or not, it's probably something you've built up psychologically in your head. That voice in your head
mm-hmm.
probably
Yeah,
doesn't like you. And to understand, if you're at the college level, he just has a family to feed, and
yeah,
if guys are producing, he's gonna pay more attention to them. I coach at the
yeah,
college level as well. I don't think everyone at the school is mad cool with me. You know, I was real hard on them, but they knew it was love, right? And some guys played a lot, and some didn't. The
yeah,
honest truth to this, if you wanna, or sorry, if you like your coach, if you like or not, it doesn't really matter. It's the honest truth.
yeah,
You have to get to the point where confidence comes from within. If you have 5 minutes, you have to do what you do well. So you have to find your way to get on the court if you're not one of the guys.
yeah,
Perfect example. You have the two guys or in the six man or the three guys, right? Let's say you're really good at rebounding. Okay, when the coach looks down the bench, it's not the best player, and this is what I didn't understand all the time. Who could help this team win, right?
yeah,
When you're younger, it's different, but it's like, what do I need right now? They're crushing us on the boards. Okay, okay? Let's get the 6'10" guy, right? Like,
mm-hmm.
okay, you understand a lot of it's not personal, right? A lot of times you are
Yeah,
better, but it's like
yeah,
we have someone doing what you're doing. You have to adapt.
yeah,
Basketball is actually about
yeah.
adaptability. That is the biggest thing to
Man,
understand. So understand the
yes,
game and
yes,
adaptability.
yes, yes. Yes, I adaptability, man, and that will keep you playing somewhere. They'll keep a paycheck if you're a pro. They'll keep a paycheck in your pocket. Is you got to be able to adapt, and is your game adaptable? One of the things that I struggled with is I grew up in an era that's a little bit different where there was one main ball handler for the most part. And as I moved up levels, some there started to be two ball handlers, and there was times where I had to play off the ball, where there was someone as equally as good as I was handling the ball. As you get higher levels, guys can do more, and so I had to play off the ball more. And at first, like I really hated it. Like you said, playing off the ball, like it wasn't so much playing off the ball that like strategically or technically that caught me up, but it was a pride thing. Like I felt like I had to orchestrate everything. Like I was like Chris Paul old school. Like everything happens through me. Like I'm coming down. If you're coming off a pin down, I'm the one passing. I'm the one coming off the pick and roll. Like everything, I'm pound. Like you know what I'm saying? Kind of how he used to play. And it was a pride thing for me to get off the ball. And then I think of what happens a lot too is talking about the training aspect, right? How many trainers that you see work for a whole hour with their players with nothing with the ball in their hands? So if you're doing an hour of work and it's all just off the dribble, then it's gonna be rough to play in a game. Be like, I grew up again. We didn't have trainers, so I had the nastiest handle. I had all the moves, but my catch and shoot game wasn't that good. I had to actually get someone to just rebound for me because when I was growing up, like I never thought like I would toss to myself and shoot, but I was just more focused on the handles and finishes. And so at first I struggled, and it was like, well, you just need to get in, catch and shoot. Um, can you finish off of a pass? Somebody passing you the ball, and now you got to finish versus you making the move and then finishing. All those things, and it kills me to see these trainers, man. And like it was so crazy. I was in the gym today working with a division kid that's about to go D1 out of Texas, and it was this other trainer. The kid had to be maybe I give the kid 10 years old, and he's working them off dribble handoffs, and I'm like, What team that he does this kid play on at 10 years old that they're running dribble handoffs at? But he still can't hit a regular layup.
Yeah. The
You know,
Globetrotters,
still
brother.
keep they're running the the Denver action like joke, and I'm like, I mean, that's cool, but it's like they don't understand the art of
They don't
player
know what's going
development,
on.
the
Yeah,
progression.
yeah, yeah. It's crazy.
So I think a lot of times these guys they saw something on YouTube and it's like, well, we're going to teach dribble handoffs that way, and it's like like the kid that I was training, he's going to go play at Kilgore Community College, which has produced a lot of Division I guys, a lot of Division I guys out of Texas. I think Kendrick Perkins was one that went there. So I'm watching a film of their offense, and they don't run no dribble handoffs. So therefore, what we're not we won't be working on dribble handoffs. We're going to work on the things that you're going to be expected to do within the system. So it's just an understanding, and that is a lot of why the North American system, rather we can say U.S. and Canada, um, those is we're struggling, and guys, these kids, like you said, we got the most talent. Nobody know how to play basketball. And it's the training, and it's because the basketball training is no barrier of entry. So anyone can wake up and be a trainer. And there has to, I think, in other countries. So I spent a lot of time in Dominican Republic. That's one of the places I played professionally. And I go a couple of years. I do coaching, and all the coaches out there have to be certified. Whether you coaching and training, they wear it around. It's like just like you at your regular job. You got like a neck thing with your badge, your work badge, a picture, and you gotta be official. And I feel like we need that here in North America for sure.
Yeah. Um, for me, um, I'm not a big fan of government. Um, so I agree with what you're saying. If we could find another way to do it, um,
Yeah,
not in a bad way. I just don't like bringing bureaucracy into sports.
yeah,
That's the only thing. I have no problem with the
yeah.
government in general, just in sports.
No, I got you. I got
Yeah, yeah,
you.
yeah. To be honest, and not
Nah, that's cool. I get
in
it.
a weird way. I
No, I
just
got you.
I think that the issue is when you bring more bureaucracy in sports, more people, more rules, it actually takes
Yeah,
away
yeah.
the ex hooper who needs to come in and all this. Now, I do think there needs to be a
Hmm.
barrier of entry, but I think it needs to be done a different way. You know,
Yeah,
back to your point
yeah,
though
yeah,
about training, brother. Um, Sorry, one second. Back to your point about training. The problem with most trainers is they never play the game at a high level, or they never really spend
mm,
years learning the game. So they see something in a book and it looks
yeah,
cool, but they're not actually trying to teach the kid actual reads, actual understanding of the
right,
game, and actual stuff they can
right.
actually do right now to help. Right. So most trainers just teach a bunch of genetics, like super basic stuff. Like they do like 5 or 6 things, but you actually
Yeah,
need to train. So you spend one or two skills for 6 straight months, right?
yeah,
And then boom, next skill, boom. And you should really lock in on their 2 best skills and then teach the game for like
right,
15 to 20 minutes elsewhere. That's how training
right.
should be,
Yeah,
right? They
yeah,
should play a
yeah.
lot too, and like controlled settings and like stuff where it's creative, in my opinion. Controlled
No,
dribble
100%.
sometimes, like a lot of stuff like that. Sorry, bro, just my sickness, bro.
No,
My
you
voice.
good, man. You doing we man. We almost through the hour, man, and you a soldier, man. I definitely so appreciate you fighting through that to share this stuff with us, man. Yeah, one of the big things, like I said, like you said, is teaching reads. And like I was thinking about the kid earlier doing the dribble handoff stuff. So a lot of times, so if you're gonna, a lot of times in those kids games, it gets crazy. Somebody will pick up the ball. So all right, so you run toward a teammate, they're in trouble. You come off a handoff, cool. All right, but what's your read? Like, what are your reads? So, like, if they're gonna lock and trail, all right, that means they're coming from over the top of the falling you off the handoff. Then we need to try to get to the hoop. They go under, we need to be ready to shoot. And just if you're going to teach these kids these things, then it has to be. It almost has to. There has to be more teaching and training. So you have to understand why, the why and when, not just the how. Why am I doing this? When am I going to do this? The how is the technical part. Like I have a series. It's like I got 5 pick and roll reads. I got 6 reads off of a pin down. I got 4 answers to ice coverage. I got four ways to get in the mid range off a dribble handoff. So I came up under Gannon Baker. So Gannon Baker mentored me. I spent a week at his house. So I that's where I kind of learned a lot of my higher level training philosophy, spending time from him. And he really he said you have to train from a coaching perspective. And so you have to look at it like what are actions that happen in the game, and then how do we teach this? And then, like you said, the small sided games, a lot of 2-on-2 on 3-on-3. Because why? If you break the game down, a lot of the game of basketball is 3-on-3 or 2-on-2 actions. On one side of the floor, you got three on one side, you got two on the weak side. We got our 3 man actions going on. If we get into it to the lane, usually help is going to come from somewhere on that weak side, low man, and then if they come, then we kick over to that side. Keep trying to keep the ball moving from side to side, right? And teaching those things. But again, you gotta, I spent that week with Gannon Baker. That was like a boot camp. Like it was basketball all day. I mean, we went out to eat, and I'm trying to enjoy a meal, and he was like, "I need 7 ice reads." You're like, but then he looking at you. You gotta figure it out. Like, you know what I'm saying? The food's getting cold because I'm sitting here trying to figure out, 7 reads. But in a game, you gotta be able to read it just just like that in the game, that reactivity. So I definitely agree with you.
Yeah,
I saw one of your videos where you was talking about not using cones. I know I got a big slogan: cones, bones, not cones. Um, Folks don't like that. But ultimately, I'm not in the game and to be liked. I want to teach the game to the kids the right way, so that each player can really maximize their basketball ability, man. For me, growing up and the life that I had mentioned before, not having my parents, growing up in a bad part of Boston, and then having opportunities playing for the best high school team in Boston, going to play in Manchester, New Hampshire. Chris Brickley, most famous NBA trainer in the world, he was my backup point guard, so I had plenty of opportunities. But I didn't maximize those things. So I try to teach the reads on the court, but I also try to teach what I call reads for life, right? And reads for life is a lot of things we spoke about today. Being able to have that emotional intelligence, in order to be secure in yourself, to know that God made you special, whether you are the best basketball player or not, you're still loved. I say on Judgment Day, God's not going to ask Jordan about 6 rings, or he's not going to ask LeBron about game 7. He's going to ask about what type of person you were. What did you do with all that you it's not about the talent. What did you do with it, right? What did you do to make the world a better place? And I think and that's why I wanted to get you on here, because I really see you as someone who's transcended just being a really good basketball player. And that was good, and you did a lot in your career. But I think what you're doing now, when you're really helping people mentally, emotionally, giving people truth, I believe that's going to be able to touch so many people's lives. And that's what God wants. You using the talent, that work that made you somebody, and using that and giving it to everyone else, man. So, man, I just thank you for coming on. Thank you for fighting through the illness, man. Anything you want to add in closing, man? The floor is yours.
yeah. First of all, God blesses us so we can bless others, brother. And secondly, I want to say 2 things, bro. Um, I'll give you 7 ice reads right now. All right. Which what which wing are we on? Right or left?
Let's go. We on the let's go. I'm on the left wing. I'm on the left wing. Yep, left wing.
Yeah, you got the ball.
Yeah, I got the ball.
All right. We're gonna clear the corner. Okay. First
Okay.
read.
Yep.
You're gonna
Send
tell
them
the
through.
big. You're gonna tell the big who's coming to flip the screen.
Flip
Okay.
it. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
First time you're gonna drag. You're gonna drag. You're gonna tell the big to short roll
Pop.
as you
Yep.
drag. Yeah. You
Yep.
got that pass. Then you're
Yep.
gonna have a 45 cut. First read.
Yep. Yep.
Um. Okay. Second read. Same thing. You're the big come. Okay. Flip
Yep.
screen. Okay.
Yep.
As soon as you do that, you're gonna snake it. Okay.
Okay.
As he
Yeah. Flip
snakes
the
it,
snake. Mm-hmm.
yeah. As he snakes it, he's gonna pop to the corner, open side. He has a
Yep.
three you could play. Now the big on that side is gonna roll under the rim, so he has a dump off.
Yep.
Okay. Read three. Same thing. He comes, flip the
Yep.
screen. Okay.
Uh-huh.
The bigs drop back. You can pull a three.
Yep.
Easy money.
Yep.
Easy
Yep.
money. Okay, read
Five.
four. He comes. He flips the screen. Okay, you could backpack him. As soon as you clear it, you put him on your back. Right? You
Mm.
come. You keep him on your back. Okay, now you
Mm-hmm.
slow walk him in. Slow snake.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, slow snake. Now
Yep.
you have one of the two backside guys to the flare screen. Corner shooter. Now you have a pop up shooter. They could pop or roll. Doesn't matter. Was that 4 or 5?
Yep.
What
That's
was that?
five. Two more.
Okay. Yep.
That's
Okay.
five.
5. He doesn't come flip the screen. Okay. You drag. If you just come drag the ball, flip it back, come off the
Baseline.
handoff.
Flip it back.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Now
Uh-huh.
you're coming. Now you're coming right. Now you can play. Um, you keep the guy in the corner, so you're the fill back guy, or the dump
Mm-hmm.
off or sorry, the roll guy
Big.
for the lob, right?
Yep.
Because there's 3 men side, he has to roll. Okay, and then
Yep.
7. Okay, you come off, drag, throw it back, boom, he comes, they
Mm-hmm.
overplay, go back door, mid range jumper, or to the 45 cut, or to the corner drift. Bang.
Bang.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
seven.
Yeah, bro. I live and breathe hoop. Now,
That's
secondly,
real.
bro, what I want to
That's
say,
real.
bro, is I've been through a lot of shit in life, bro. Good and bad, bro. But a lot of shit that a lot of people don't know, bro. I almost died in a car crash.
Mm.
A lot of shit's happened. But God has called me to teach people the game of basketball and help ex hoopers find themselves after basketball. It's called me to do this. I genuinely feel this with all my heart. I will say
Mm.
this over and over. I do not care what anyone thinks. I understand the mind and the game of basketball. Spent my whole life failing, going through adversity and doing this, and I never knew what it was for until I realized
Mm.
I could teach people through my pain, through my story. I could really
Yeah.
teach people that it's okay to fail. It's okay to lose. You could be a winner as long as you don't give up, as long as you don't quit, right? My journey can inspire people. I have a successful business, bro. I inspire a
Mm.
lot of kids, a lot of pros, a lot of teenagers, and we're going to continue to build a community that's going to inspire and change the game room. They're going to have weight programs. They're going to have bodybuilding programs. They're going to have
Mm.
mentorship from ex-hoopers. They're going to have nutritionists. They're going to have weight guys. They're going to have everything in there you could possibly think. And I'm also going to build stuff for ex-hoopers to get their mind back right. They're going
Yep.
to have mental stuff where they're going to be able to hop on the phone with me. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to really teach kids that it's okay to fail, and not just kids, adults, all types of
Yeah.
people. Okay to
Yeah.
fail. That's how you win. Right?
Yeah.
The only true key to winning is a man or woman's endurance to pain.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's my closing remarks, brother.
Yeah, man. No, thank you for that, man. Yeah, you gotta, I think Kobe Bryant said it. He said, failure is the best teacher. And I say failure is a prerequisite to success. So, man, thank you. Thank you, man. Hey, make sure that y'all follow my man, Jaden Cohee. Is it Jaden Cohee Hoops, I believe. Let me just make sure I got it right. I'm gonna
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna put his Instagram handle on in the YouTube description. Also, we're going to be sharing this on Instagram and on Facebook as well. Everything will be put out tomorrow by tomorrow Monday the 31st of March. We'll get all this out, man. Thank you again. Follow this guy. He's a great inspiration and motivation. Thank y'all again for watching the Truth in Sports podcast, joining us. It's been a blessing. I hope you were blessed by this podcast. Big love. Until next time. Peace out.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you for having me on, brother.